screen once so that all of you have an idea of who is joining us for this panel. Okay, trying to get to full screen. Okay, so these are our panelists, and we will let Parleen, Steve, and Stephen Stump introduce themselves in a minute. But if you all want, you can, as we are progressing through the panel, continue to add questions in the chat. We do have 5 questions that we have pre-selected for our panelists. So we'll get through those and we'll be addressing your questions at the end. So with that, I'll start with our first question. Please introduce yourself and your school/organization, and what is the mission of your school? And we will go in the order. Stephen, I think you're joined on both platforms, or have you joined twice? Because that's what happens. It starts echoing. So if you want to leave from one of the places that you have joined us, because I think you're joined in twice. I see you twice. Okay.
Did that work?
Yes. Yes. Thank you. I'm going to repeat my question and we'll go in the order. So we'll have Dr. Steve, then Stephen, and then Parleen, and we'll keep that order for our questions. And then maybe we can switch midway from Parleen, Dr. Steve, and Stephen. So I'll mention that. So we'll start with Dr. Steve, Stephen, and then Parleen. Our first question is, please introduce yourself and your school/organization, and what is the mission of your school?
All right, can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Wonderful. Hi, everyone. I wish I was on campus because I really enjoy coming to your campus every year, but oh well. But hopefully this will be over soon. I'm Dr. Steve Lee. I'm from Rosamond University. I'm from the College of Pharmacy. So I'm here representing the profession of pharmacy today, I guess. So first question, introduce myself. So I am currently teaching faculty member at the College of Pharmacy. I'm also a clinical pharmacist. And our campus, we actually have 2 campuses. One campus is outside of Las Vegas in Southern Nevada. The other one is outside of Salt Lake City, so it's in Utah, in Northern Utah there. And we are a healthcare professional only program. So you look at our university, we have colleges of pharmacy, nursing, as well as dental science. Our College of Medicine is starting, so should be up and running hopefully in the next couple of years. But the school started off as a College of Pharmacy and then expanded into other healthcare professionals there. So if you're looking for English literature, PhD, or chemistry or something like that, we are probably not the right place for you. But nevertheless, we can help you if we can talk to some of our friends. So our mission is, our mission statement is rather long, so I'm just gonna get to the bottom of it, which is we are a teaching first university. And our other goals would be to try to provide excellent patient care, as well as to advance the fields in the different disciplines through research. But first and foremost, our number one asset and our number one focus is our students. And our goal is try to educate and prepare the students for the future in healthcare challenges, whatever they are. We'll do our best to get them ready for it. So I'll shut up now.
Thank you, Dr. Lee. Stephen?
Hello, my name is Stephen Stump. I'm an admission counselor at the USC Leonard Davis School of Gerontology. We are here to promote gerontology as the study of aging across the entire lifespan. To share a little bit about our school, we have a variety of different master's programs and PhD programs that allow us to do this. Studying gerontology through 4 core disciplines such as biology, sociology, policy, and psychology. We have our faculty member that are leaders within the field of gerontology, and we are the oldest and largest school of gerontology in the country. So we're here to attract top-tier talent within the field and have you work with our faculty members and professors that are eager to share their knowledge and their life experiences with you.
Thank you. Arlene?
Hello, everyone. My name is Parlene Lopez, and I'm the university representative for University of St. Augustine. University of St. Augustine's been around for about 40 years. We started in actually in Florida, so St. Augustine, and then we have actually 2 campuses in Florida, St. Augustine in Miami, 2 in Texas, which is in Austin and Dallas, and the one closest to UCR would be the one in San Diego County. Our mission statement is basically to develop professional healthcare practitioners through innovative, individualized and classroom, clinical, along with distance education. We started off as a PT program, but obviously branched to other health science programs as well. Today I'll talk about PT and OT, later on throughout the session, but welcome.
Thank you. Our next question is, tell us a little bit about admissions requirements and program offerings at your school. And we'll start with Dr. Lee again.
Hello again. So our program is the Doctor of Pharmacy program, which is very different from many schools across the country. And that is, most pharmacy schools are usually 4 years. Ours is 3 years. How we got that done was that we use a very innovative block curriculum, meaning the students are in class from 8 o'clock in the morning to 3 o'clock in the afternoon every day for 4 days a week. And then the 5th day, we actually send them out to do the experiential training. In other words, they're actually going into pharmacy, seeing patients, learning from the supervising pharmacist on the other day, or on that same day in every other week, we will have an exam. So our admission requirement is such that we do not require you to have a bachelor's degree. We ask you to complete the 10 required classes plus enough hours to finish your sophomore year. So for example, 60 credit hours if you are in a semester school, or 90 quarters if you are in a quarter-based system. And we have asked students who do not have a bachelor's degree or higher in the past to complete the pharmacy college admission test, or the PCAT. But ever since COVID kicked in, we have suspended that requirement because we understand that it's been very difficult for some individuals to try to even schedule that exam, let alone taking it. So we have decided to waive that requirement for the time being. But typically for admission requirements, in a very general sense, we ask the students to have 1 year of general chemistry, college level, 1 year of organic chemistry, 1 year, 2 semesters or 3 quarters of physiology and anatomy, as well as 1 class in microbiology. And those take care of our 8 required science classes, as well as 1 class in speech communication and 1 class in in English composition. The rest of the credit hours should be made up with elective classes or any other program requirements that the students might be enrolled in. So you could graduate from UCR with a degree in English as long as you've completed those required classes. We'll be happy to look at your application. The application process is such that we go through a centralized application process. It's called FarmCast. So FarmCast is a central depository. So you can sign up for FarmCast and then pay a small fee. It's not outrageous. It's not something like $2 million, don't worry. But what FarmCast does is it'll collect, with your permission and everything and following the directions, it will route your application to the schools that you're interested in applying. It'll help you with, calculating GPA and everything. Once that are all set to us, our application is processed, set up so that you could get, if we think that, you will be a good candidate for us, we would love to invite you for a on-campus visit. Unfortunately, this past year, it has been virtual, just like almost everything. But hopefully at some point we can get back into a real life person. And once you finish your interview with us, And we try to get back to you as soon as we can, typically within a matter of weeks, to let you know about decision. And if we make you an offer and you choose to join us, see you in the fall. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Lee. That was really helpful. Stephen?
Great. So for our admission process, we have one application on our application portal that you would fill out. And then depending upon which program you're most interested in, there are some other specific requirements or supplemental questions. So we offer 2 PhD programs, one geared towards gerontology, which focuses on the sociological, policy, and psychological side of the field. And we also have a biology of aging PhD program, which is focused more on STEM science, neuroscience, the biology of the aging process. For that, we only have one application cycle per year, and we do require you to submit your application by December 1st for a start date the following fall. Within that application timeframe, if you're selected, you'll be invited to our PhD visit day. Typically, outside of a COVID situation, we would like to host you, bring you to campus, give you the opportunity to talk with our faculty, our current students, and our staff. And we do plan to do that for further application cycles. For our master's programs, we don't have any prerequisites, and we are able to waive the GRE test scores with a strong academic background. So if you are, during the application process, you are notified that you may need to submit your GRE test scores, that may happen from one of my fellow admission counselors and I. We do have one master's program, our Master of Science in Nutrition, Health Span, and Longevity program, which is geared towards students that are interested in becoming registered dietitians. That is our only master's program that does have some prerequisite courses. It's 11 courses that are typical with either medical school, PT, or OT school typically. If you have any questions about those prerequisite courses specifically, you can feel free to reach out to me directly, and I can send you a link to which courses would fulfill those requirements. That program also requires students to have 40 hours of supervised work or internship or shadow experience under a registered dietitian as well.
Thank you, Stephen. Very helpful. Arlene?
Hello, everyone. So University of St. Augustine offers 2 programs, the PT and OT. We offer what we call residential, which is full speed ahead, so to speak, on campus. Our PT program is about 2 years and 7 months. And then our OT program, residential, is 2 years and 8 months, so just an additional month there. We also offer what's unique is the Flex program, which is our weekend online program for students that live, for example, in Riverside and just want to commute and don't want to relocate and don't want to be on campus as frequently. The only thing that I would like to add is that it will take you a little bit longer because now you're considered part-time. So add an additional 2 years to that program for each of the PT and OT. For one thing unique also with St. Augustine's, we do offer 3 start months annually. So you can start in January, May, or September, which is our summer, spring, and fall terms, which increases your chances of getting in, which a lot of students like. Some of the requirements would be, I would say, like you still need 80 hours for PT. OT is 40 hours. 2 letters of recommendation, a background fingerprint clearance, and then for both you can apply through OTCAS or PTCAS, which is a centralized system that a lot of schools use for PT and OT. And then for our OT program, you can also apply through usa.edu, and it's free. We don't offer that for our PT program, but just wanted to point that out for students that are interested in the OT. And I think that's pretty much it in a nutshell of some of the requirements at our school.
Thank you. Oh, okay. Our next question is, what does a successful applicant look like for your school? What considerations do you have when you're reviewing applications to be for admissions to your school? So we'll start with Dr. Lee.
Thank you again. And I don't mind if you decide to switch the order around because, I don't have to go first because, I'm just very excited. here all the great opportunities that, like Mr. Stumpf and Ms. Lopez are, offering, because, 20 years ago when I was looking for school, gosh, I wish I had this type of event. So thank you for doing this.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
and by the way, all three of our campuses are beautiful. USC has got a gorgeous campus. I went to school in Florida, so I know all about St. Augustine. So it's really pretty place. So real quickly, going back to the applicants, unfortunately, let's talk about the first part, which is academic achievement is important in any graduate programs. So therefore, if you have a strong GPA, amazing, right? Because unfortunately, at this age in time, the higher GPA in academia is turned into like money. The higher GPA you have, the more opportunity you might potentially have. So, obviously, what does a competitive applicant look like if they have a strong academic record? Often that's reflected by the GPA that is obviously attractive. However, remember this, each of us is a miracle in our own way. So there are things that some of you guys in the audience will be amazing at that I can never do. So in view of this, our founder is very clear. He said, we want to get the best students, but our best students should not be just having high GPAs. And if you consider, if anything, COVID-19 had taught us, one of the things I learned from COVID-19 through this whole pandemic is the fact that so much of family, so much sacrifice are also made by family members of the students and vice versa. So there are times that students who may not have a strong GPA, is it because that person didn't want to try? No. There are times that, a person has to skip class for like to take care of family business, to work or do other things, and their GPA suffer. So does that mean that person is not attractive academically? I beg to differ. On top of that, other things such as your life experience, so for example, you were helping your grandmother, taking care of the last couple of years of her life, and she was in and out of hospitals and you were there to help out, or you had experience taking that person going through a different medical appointments, going through different medical disciplines. We view that as something favorable. We are the College of Pharmacy. We are trying to train future pharmacists. So if you have pharmacy experience, that's a plus. But we are not going to count that against you if you don't. I don't want you to be like, oh, let me go work in 2 years, get the experience to come join the pharmacy. No, in our program, if you join our program in the end of August, okay, by October, we are already sending you out to the pharmacy. So we don't view that your pharmacy experience is a necessity. It's nice, it's good to have, but it's not required. So long story short, what makes an attractive applicant? We love to get to know you. So that's why you're probably jumping ahead a little bit. In your application process, I believe that most graduate programs would ask you to have a personal essay or some kind of letter of intent in some way, shape, or form to discuss about your application and your candidacy. And that's why the narratives, the discussion in those documents becomes important. I have read some very moving letters sharing from students, and they share a lot of great things. I have had students that this is their second career. I have had students that I was 18 when I went to college the first time, I bombed out. Now I'm ready to do it again. I'm like, okay, tell me more. What did you learn from it? How did that make you better? So each of you guys have their own story. Please think it through. You don't have to if you as a person is measured by two numbers, your GPA and your standardized exam scores, I think that's pretty incomplete in terms of looking at a person. So we would love to get to know the rest of you. Tell us more about what you did. One of my current student right now, she was actually in the hotel restaurant business for 13 years, and she actually ran a restaurant successfully, and she decided she wanted to be a pharmacist. You know what? That was great. And she has one of the best patient interaction that I have over the last couple of years, and I cherish that. So going back to the question, what makes a candidate attractive? A lot of things. Tell us, but be truthful. Don't tell us things that's not true, because unfortunately those get sniffed out pretty quickly. But I really would encourage you to spend some time on your personal essay in addition to just writing your application, just filling out the application forms, because there's so much more about you that we want to know. And there's so much more that we can talk about, and maybe we can guide you even better when you join the school in terms of where your career should go, where your talent should be, and how to get there. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Lee. Very encouraging insights. We'll go to Parleen next. Just switching it up.
Switching it up, I like that. Okay, so for University of St. Augustine, some of the basically some of the applicants and what we look for is the average GPA should be at least a 3.0. The GRE score for PT and OT should be at least a 294 or higher. We definitely look into for professionalism. If you receive a C or less in any prerequisites of our requirements, it is advised to take that over to bump up your GPA. And this, you could take it at UCR or community college. We don't look at that any differently. And then the one thing I do like that Dr. Lee had pointed out, like we are, as an institution, we do look at students based on a case-by-case story, and we like to keep it organic, so to speak, because we do understand that life happens. And as long as you share that story with us in the professional statement or even during the interview process, we understand. I mean, I met a student and she didn't have to share this with me, but she told me she did get in with a 2.9. So if you, I mean, that is a possibility. If you don't have a 3.0 and you have a substantial story to share with the program director, that's really all they want to hear, is really like what brings you to wanting to become a physical therapist or an occupational therapist, because we do understand that, you know, everyone's individual, and we don't just recognize just a number like a GPA, so to speak. And I have heard our directors say they would take someone with a lower GPA because they feel like they're a better fit than someone with a higher one. So do keep that in mind and don't get discouraged. And then one thing I do want to share on our website, which is easy to remember, it's usa.edu, but on the far right-hand corner is a search tab. You can type in anything from interview tips or you know, letters of recommendation, because it'll pop up. And the nice thing about that is whether you're applying for our school or another PT or OT school, you can definitely utilize that as a resource and a guide, because in the end, we want, if this is your field and where you want to be, we want you to be happy at any school that you do choose. So definitely use that as a resource, because our marketing team is so great with all these different insights and information. And sometimes I feel like our website is great, but there's so much information, but just utilize that little search tab and it'll get you exactly to where you need to be at a, you know, like basically at a quick pace, and so to speak, and it'll allow you to find it a lot quicker. So I use that with students all the time when I counsel them, is if they ask me a question I don't know, I'll just, you know, check out the little search tab and it'll pop up. So it's pretty helpful. So definitely check that out.
Thank you, Parleen. Stephen?
To piggyback off what Parleen and Steve were saying, we take a very holistic approach to reviewing our applications, and we do have a committee that reviews it, so it's not just one person. So they are considering everything that you submit within your application. So for all of our programs, they're going to ask you to submit a resume. So we're looking at your experience, whether that be volunteer work, shadow work, internship work, if you have any, or full-time career. So we do understand that gerontology may not be a widely studied undergraduate or bachelor degree major. So we're taking people from all walks of life, whether that be directly out of their bachelor's degree programs or mid-career or end of career that want to switch into gerontology or just have a deeper understanding of it to combine with something else. So some of our successful applicants have gone on, used one of our master's programs as a gap year in between medical school or PT school. Some of our students have come back after going to medical school to come back to learn more about gerontology specifically with our medical gerontology degree. So for each of our programs, a successful applicant can be one of many different things. They have a strong academic goal or career goal to enter within the field of gerontology, and they've expressed that through their statement of interest or through their letters of recommendation. For most of our master's degree programs, as long as you have that 3.0, we can waive those GRE test scores. So that's having that strong academic background. Like Steve and Parlene were saying, we do understand that life happens and that sometimes your undergraduate GPA is not that 3.0 mark. So if you are below the 3.0 mark, sometimes by submitting your GRE test scores with a minimum of 297 and having other strong parts of your application can be successful for you. For our PhD programs, we are looking for at least a year of research experience, either in a lab setting or within the field, depending upon which of our programs you wish to apply for. And that's just to make sure that you have the capabilities to perform research and be successful within our programs. The last program that has kind of more specific requirements and has more successful candidates is our nutrition program to become a registered dietitian. We really are looking for you to have A's or B's. If you have a C in some of those prerequisite courses, that's okay. Suggest trying to either explain that on your application, why you felt that that grade was reflected on your transcripts, or you're more than welcome to take it at a community college to try and up your grade to help your chances of getting in. Also, one thing that our successful applicants do is reach out to an admission counselor or representative of our school. We can help guide you through the process. So if you have any questions about any part of your application, any technical questions, or if you're not sure about which program is the right fit for you, how that could fit into your career or your life goals, we find that the students that do reach out to us, we're able to guide them, help them ease any sort of worries that they have, and also just guide them through the process of applying to a graduate school, because oftentimes it can be daunting and it is different from applying to a bachelor's degree program.
Thank you, Stephen. For the next question, if you all don't mind, we'll go Parlene, Stephen, and then Dr. Lee. So the question is, how has COVID-19 impacted your admissions process?
There were a few changes with St. Augustine's. Our OT program, we did waive the GRE until further notice, which is nice. A lot of students were cheering for that. Not for PT, we still required a GRE during COVID. Our face-to-face interviews transitioned to Zoom. So that seems to be the world right now. Mm-hmm. And then usually when our students are accepted, they come into campus and they get to, meet their program directors. And we changed it to virtual with Immersion Day. And I'm actually the project manager to the one at the San Marcos campus. So we basically they were able to sit at home and watch Immersion Day, but it was live in a sense where we had cameras and we would pop into different classrooms and allow students to see like real live lab in the real world. Our professors were aware of it and the time frame, but it was pretty neat to see because it was still interactive and it was an all-day event, and we did keep it pretty like fun in a sense, and we kept their attention going. They got to meet with financial aid, different departments. We just basically, it was like, I was a news person with a live camera and like, now we're going into this department, let's see what they're doing type of thing. But it was pretty neat. The one thing also is they're looking at waiving some of the interviews instead of doing that for students that do have a great like resume, so to speak, and a statement of purpose and a higher GPA. And that's something that we did start, and we may just keep that way and just interview the ones maybe with the lower GPA to find out the why factor. And the one thing I didn't mention before, I did mention about if you have a C, you can take it at a community college or even UCR to bring that grade up. We do look at the higher grade, so we don't question. Once you take it, we don't like what happened here. We don't do that. We just take the higher one and factor that GPA in. So I did want to address that as well. But for the most part, University of St. Augustine is a blending learning format. So it really didn't, those little effects, it didn't really like affect us too much because a lot of times students are doing a lot of their coursework online anyways and coming into class, like even the lab work, once they're watching a video and learning about it, they're coming into class and sharing what they learned with their cohort and with their faculty members. We just kind of spaced out our classroom a lot smaller, and they just had to like, you know, rotate it out. But other than that, I mean, we still, we adjusted fine. Like our current students were able to graduate on time and still do their internships and things like that, which we were proud of. We were honestly sweating it's kind of like, so to speak, like sweating in the background. Students don't know that. We were working really hard to place them. And they were all able to be placed with the exception of a few that just didn't feel comfortable working in COVID, or I don't feel comfortable working in a hospital. So there's nothing we can do about that. And they'd rather push the graduation date back, but for the most part, everybody was able to graduate on time and move forward. So we had a good, strong team to kind of make that happen. So we were really proud of that.
Thank you, Parleen. Oh, I don't know why that's happening. Okay, Stephen.
Thanks. So we are a leader in online education. Most of our master's programs have been online for about 10 plus years now. So our faculty members are very aware of how to create interactive Zoom meetings or virtual settings. All of our master's programs are offered residentially as well as online. So they're familiar of how to blend students that are in our residential program versus our online program. So from that standpoint of transitioning to the online platform, it was pretty seamless for us. We were already able to do that and come together. Really the only admission related criteria that really changed us for our PhD programs, we did waive the GRE test scores. However, we are expecting them to be required again for upcoming admission cycles. The other really big thing was most of our master's program, our students have the opportunity to do a study abroad course. And with our nutrition program, we do require students to take a course in Italy. So obviously those were all canceled or postponed. So our students had to do either those courses virtually or they're going to take them later on in their programs. We also host a lot of in-person events, whether that be our weekly colloquium series, where once a week our students are able to come and listen to leaders within the field or guest lecturers or whatnot. That moved to our online platform as well as all of our other in-person events, such as our Student Gerontology Association, our book club, our cooking classes, all that's transitioned to online. We do plan to open up all of that and have it remain both in person and online once it's safe to do so. But otherwise, all of our admission requirements are still the same.
Thank you, Stephen. Dr. Lee. Oh, you're muted. Sorry.
Okay, I think I'm back on. Long story short, whatever Ms. Lopez and Mr. Stumpf just said. No, we did the same thing, which is, I think hearing from, you know, what Ms. Lopez and Mr. Stumpf were saying, you know, I think a lot of the test-taking companies are not going to be very happy with us because we are all, you know, in some way, shape, or form, waiving our standardized test requirements. So for us, we waive our PCAT, the pharmacy admission test requirement. In the past, if you have a bachelor's program, you do not need to take it. A bachelor's degree or higher, you do not need to take it. And if you don't have a bachelor's degree, we want to make sure you're academically ready. So we ask for it. But now given the COVID situation, we no longer request that. Our admission GPA is, still the same. We do not have a minimum GPA, but we would prefer that you have a GPA of 2.8 or higher. And, just like other programs that you've heard about, if your grades didn't, if you weren't so stellar in, 1 or 2 classes, then we would like to know, tell us more. And, feel free to reach out too, because, our admission office will be glad to talk to you more. And, there are times that it makes sense for you to retake the class, but there are times that, you've taken, you might have gotten a C in your, one class, but then you take an advanced level class and got an A. So then I don't know if there's necessarily a whole lot of, reason to go back and just to retake that one class to, boost up your GPA in some way, shape, or form. But that would be a conversation that on a case-by-case basis. And then the other thing that changes is interview. We do ask you to do an admission interview, and typically it's a half day. And in the past, we have asked our candidates to come into our Henderson or South Jordan campuses, either one of those campuses for a half day interview. Well, obviously with COVID, that's not happening. So we transition that into online. The requirements are very similar. The only thing is I don't know if you can see, this way. I don't know if you can see behind me, that's our classroom. We do not have a stadium-like classroom. Our classroom is like a hexagon. That's why everything at Rosamond is 6-sided. And then, if you imagine, the center is where the professors stand. We can, when I lecture to my students, nobody is further away from me than 7 rows. So that by that design, we wanted to make sure that the faculty can give the full attention to all the students. So the only thing that, when students don't come to campus is they don't get to see that. But everything else in terms of admission process is very similar. So bottom line is online, and PCAT require anymore. But like I said, if you have any questions, if you have a 2.7 GPA, we'll still look at your application. We just want to know more about you.
Thank you, Dr. Lee.
Thank you.
Okay, for the last question that we have pre-prepared, we'll start with Stephen, if that's okay. The question is, what advice do you have for students exploring various health professions, and how can students know if this is the career path for them?
Yeah, so this is a great question for students that are entering the field of gerontology. So we do understand that maybe may not have considered gerontology at the beginning, but we do have a high demand for jobs within this line of work. The U.S. Department has identified gerontology as a high growth rate field, and it's highly actively seeking professionals to enter the field. So we do have a plethora of jobs available to our graduates, to our alumni, and we do have a lot of alumni networking events and professionals that work with our students to help them find internships within our programs that hopefully turn into jobs later on. With our students that enter this field, there is a large variety of different opportunities for them, whether that be entering the field of aging services management, so working with the retirement care industry, palliative care, hospice care, assisted living facilities. Our faculty members that work with those classes and those programs, they're leaders in the field. They've started their own multi-million-dollar industries and companies, and they're here to share what was successful for them and what not. We also have careers for our students that take our programs in medical gerontology or senior living hospitality. So if you wanted to do the marketing, the branding, the business administration side of gerontology field, that was also an opportunity for our students. With our other programs, our flagship program, our Master of Science in Gerontology, we do require an internship component within the program itself. So that's an opportunity for you to work with our internship coordinator to discuss what sort of career opportunities you're open to, what some of your career goals are, and try it out. So if you may not be sure about, you may be on the ladder between 1 or 2 things, you can try both things and see what's actually the best fit for you. Then you can bring that experience from your internship into the class and talk about it. See whether there are theories, models, practices, or case studies are going on that could help make your experience better, make you a better candidate, progress you through the field with itself. To determine if this is the correct career path for you, we do have students that have combined it with a lot of other majors that have come in with biology backgrounds, chemistry backgrounds, that don't necessarily want to pursue medical school, but still want to help work in the allied health industry. Gerontology is a great fit for those students as well. Say you want to work with the business administration side, or you want to go into research, academia, law. We have our programs that would prepare you for all of that. So to determine if it's the best fit for you, like I was saying earlier, reach out to an admission counselor, speak with us. You can ask your personalized questions, talk to us about some of your goals and aspirations, and we can really help narrow down. Even if it's not one of our programs, we can help guide you through that process.
Thank you so much, Stephen. Dr. Lee?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, sorry about that. It's a really smart question, so thank you. And I would say this, what advice do I want to have explored in different health professions? I have three. Number one is withhold your judgment. You might think you know a lot. It's like, oh, I know what a nurse does. I know what a pharmacist does. Not really, I'll be honest. I mean, heck, I was a second-year pharmacy student. I was working in a pharmacy in an outpatient community setting, at a place that's similar to CVS and Walgreens. And I accidentally applied for a job in the hospital as a hospital intern. Accidentally, because I have no idea. The reason why I turned in my application was my ride was turning in his application, and then the hospital asked me, do you want to turn in an application? So I said, sure, why not? Long story short, they hired me. A week later, my boss in a community pharmacy asked me, how did it go? I'm like, it's so different. I didn't realize pharmacists can do so much. And that was 2 years after pharmacy schools that I made that comment. So, I would say, number one, go research the area that you're interested in. It's really, we are so privileged. We are so lucky that at this age and time, we have so many different opportunities that you can do all these things. And there are plenty of opportunities out there we just didn't even know, we haven't thought about, doing. And so go explore. Now I obviously cannot speak for physical therapy or occupational therapy because I don't know enough to say anything about those areas. But I will share this, if you're interested in pharmacy, there's a website called Is Pharmacy Right For Me? And I apologize. I still can't figure out how to do the chat because I logged on this meeting through the Zoom instead of through the Wover platform. So I didn't have the chat box here. So I apologize for that. But number one is do some research, go explore what you're looking at. So for pharmacy, there's a website called Is Pharmacy Right For Me? It's done by a couple of very credible pharmacy organizations together. So, it's not some like, come check this out and then, we'll send you information on the dark web type of places. But long story short, number one, know your area, go do some research. Number two is decide for yourself. Do you love it? Because you're not looking for a job here. You're looking for a career. What's the difference? A career is something that you live with for 10, 20, 30, 40 years. A job is something you do for next year, 2 years, couple of months maybe. So you have to think about your long-term longevity. And honestly, it doesn't matter what field you go into. If you don't love it, there's no way you can survive. There's no way you can do a good job. So go find out what it does. Go decide if that's what you want. And lastly, think about your own talent. What are you good at? You might be incredibly good at talking to people. Then maybe you want to look at that particular branch of that profession that has a lot of opportunity to interact with your patients or your clients. On the other hand, you're very cerebral, you're very analytical. Maybe the business side of things is better for you. you know. But having said that, every, you know, now I'm not giving you the license to be like, well, I only want to be cerebral, so I do not want to talk to my patient. No, the moment you wear that jacket, the moment you put on the badge, that says that you are the expert in that field, whether it's in PT, OT, gerontology, pharmacy, whatever. People expect you the whole package. So you still need to be competent in all the basic areas, but know what your talent are, know what they do, and how do you combine the best. Now, the challenge often comes is, I want to do some shadowing, I want to do some experience. Well, I think every single program knows that at this moment of time with COVID, that is not always possible. And many programs are willing to overlook that. Okay, so you might be okay, talk to the program, like Mr. Stumpf said, you know, talk to that mission group, talk to that mission staff. They will tell you whether it's this is great or no, you still need more. So I will transition over to Ms. Lopez.
Thank you, Dr. Lee. So my rule of thumb for you students that are still on the fence or not sure, definitely volunteer in those niches where you think whether you want to do PT and OT, because when you think about it, you spend more than half of your lifetime working. So you definitely want to not like it, but love it. And that's my advice to you. Create like a pros and cons list, like what, you know, like some of the benefits and some of the maybe uncertainties, and just kind of review that. And then just create like a career picture board, whatever works for you. And that was helpful for me when I was an intern, as well as working on my counseling licensure. I also joined some student organizations for counseling. So there's a couple that I wanted to share for PT and OT students. There's CPTA, which is the California Physical Therapy Association. And then the nice thing about that, you can check the website out, maybe attend a virtual conference, because there's a lot of students that are involved in that. And then OTAC is the Occupational Therapy Association of California. That one's helpful too for the OTs that are interested in connecting. For me, when I was a student as a working on my licensure for counseling, I connected with the California LPCC board, and that was helpful because I got to Zoom chat with other students that were kind of uncertain, or we weren't really sure of what field we wanted to. Did we want to do more school setting? Did we want to do more, you know, hospital setting and different things like that? So definitely look into those organizations as well. A lot of them do have like a membership fee, but for students, it's usually a lot less than when you do have your license. So that would be my advice to you. But whatever you do decide, whether it's whatever allied health profession or a different profession, it's make it unique to you. Sometimes you may hear from others that you should do this program. Follow your heart and go with your gut instinct of what works for you. And because this is your life and your pathway, so to speak. So you're walking in your shoes and driving that future, so to speak. So whatever you do decide, you know, make sure it's something that you actually love. So that is my advice.
Thank you so much. Okay, with that and with all the great advice from our panelists, we will dive into some open Q&A. I do see a question already in the chat, and this is for Dr. Lee. UCR doesn't offer human anatomy and physiology. May that series or other prerequisite courses be taken at a community college?
Absolutely.
Okay.
How's
Thank
that?
you. I love it. Thank you.
Oh, don't get me wrong, you know, like we understand, you know, like each program, I mean, I myself is, you know, on the curriculum committee for the PharmD program. And so there are times that we're like, yeah, we got to have this, we got to have this. And then we turn around and say, people can't get that, you know, so we have to be flexible. And like I said, if COVID taught us anything, all of us need to be a little bit more kind. All of us need to be a little bit more considerate for everyone. So if we, you know, if you cannot get that course at UCR, it's okay. You know, there are two ways to get around that. Number one is if you really want to, you can try another school at a local community college. But on the other hand, I urge you to get in touch with our admission office The lady's name is Mrs. Lisa Stone, Stone. Reach out to her. If you're worried, tell her Dr. Lee sent you. So that way, if it went badly, you can blame it on me. It's okay. But talk to her about this, because I'm sure you are not the first UCR students we have, and you will not be the last. So, let's see what they have done, from that arena. And it has also happened before too, when, somebody told me that, oh, our school doesn't offer this course. Well, come to find out they did. We just didn't know about it. So it happens. It's okay. So, but, reach out, let's talk, and then go from there.
Thank you, Dr. Lee. And Parleen, I know you already answered that for your school. Stephen, is your school also open to that?
Yeah, definitely. We don't have a lot of prerequisites for most of our programs, but for, say, our nutrition program that does have those prerequisite courses, one of them is a food science course. And so we do understand that not every program is, or every school is going to have that class. So we do have a list of readily available programs that you can find either online or at a local JC or a community college. So yeah, that's definitely acceptable with us.
Thank you. We do have another question for you, Stephen. How do the gerontology programs at USC differ from MD or MHA programs, or even PD or OT?
Yeah, so they are different. They're focusing on different fields and different classes and different subjects. I can't speak specifically for another program that you're comparing it to, just because I don't know what program it is and I'm not familiar with it. But I know that in the question it said MHA, which is a health administration. So we do pair up with our Master of Science in Gerontology as a dual degree with a Master's of Health Administration here at the University of USC. So we also have a social work dual degree, Master's of Business Administration, Pharmacy, and a JD, and I believe public administration as well. So with all of those dual degrees, you're able to focus on both fields separately while getting both degrees. Here within gerontology specifically, some of the courses that you'd be taking would be policy, developmental lifespan, psychology process over the lifespan. You could even take elective courses such as gerontechnology, incorporating gerontology and technology. So we're studying the lifespan and how your quality of a life is affected throughout the lifespan, different laws, regulations that are contributing to that, socioeconomic status such as demography as well. So our gerontology degrees are focusing specifically on the lifespan and aging throughout your life. While those other degrees may focus on the title or what they're focused on.
Thank you. Any other questions for our panelists? If there are questions, please feel free to unmute yourself and ask. All right. Thank you so much, Dr. Lee, Stephen, and Parleen for joining us today and for sharing all about your admissions requirements, your programs, your schools, and some really great advice for our students preparing for their careers. We're very, very grateful for you all. And with that, I invite all of you to go back to the main Hoover room. For students who are planning to stay for this portion, we will give further instructions within the agenda portion. Again, you have to click on go to the main room again, and then we will meet you there. And thank you so much, everyone. And if you don't have any other questions, feel free to leave at this point.